During a recent speech in South Carolina, former President Donald Trump took aim at his old arch nemesis, windmills.
Their windmills are causing whales to die in numbers never seen before. Nobody does anything about that. They're washing up and show. I saw it this weekend. 3 of them came up. You wouldn't see it once a year. Now they're coming up on a weekly basis. The windmills are driving them crazy. They're driving the whales, I think, a little batty.
A little batty. In numbers we've never seen before. Washing up on the beach. Hey, you ever think that might have something to do with climate change? Ocean acidification? Things like that? No. Must be windmills. Has to be windmills.
Wind.
Oh my God. No, climate change.
Can't let that happen.
Well, blaming climate change, I mean. Must be windmills. All right, look, Donald Trump, no surprise, he's hated windmills for years. Of course. We know this. I mean, literal Don Quixote over here, okay? Tilting at windmills. So the internet weighed in on this, and it's funny. Molly Jong Fast simply puts, cognitive decline.
I'm cognitively there.
That's what he would say.
Person, woman, man, camera, TV.
That's what Katie Fang had wrote. Christine Emba says, this is unfortunately very funny. It kind of is. I mean, this is your classic Trumpism right here. The whales, they're driving the whales a little batty. Little batty. Brian Altano says, I love how he spent years saying windmills were bad because they killed birds. And everyone was like, okay, dude. So now he's like, what's the biggest animal that could die from something? I got it. Whales. That's the ticket. Look, the idea that their windmills are killing the whales, obviously there's no evidence of that. Of course, that hasn't stopped anybody from actually claiming that this is true. For example, Fox News, Republican lawmakers have been repeatedly blaming a spate of whale deaths off the East Coast earlier this year on the offshore wind farm projects. So now, riddle me this, right? Why do Republicans and Fox News suddenly seem to care so much about the whales? Doesn't seem like it's something that generally is a, Republican thing to care about. I care so much about the whales. Look, during the Trump administration, there was an effort to allow oil companies to go through and do seismic surveys to search for oil and gas deposits in the Atlantic Ocean. You know how they do that? They go through and they send off essentially seismic charges, okay? Okay, you're thinking more of like a bomb when I say seismic charge, but more like seismic pings that can disturb fish and marine animals. Specifically, the North Atlantic right whale could be affected by this. At least, this animal, whale, is endangered. And so you would potentially want to avoid doing anything that might disturb it, lead to its death or whatever injury, maybe from these very high, high frequency sonar pings that they use to do surveys of the ocean bottom to look for oil and gas deposits, right? But here's the thing. I have the answer. Republicans claim to care about the whales simply because they want to stop green energy projects. That's it. They look at every single windmill as money out of an oil executive's pocket. That's really it. That's not to say that windmills can't have a negative effect. Obviously, they do kill birds. Yes, I know. That said, outdoor cats kill way more birds than windmills do, okay? And there's, of course, a way to, I think, paint windmills, the blades on them so that they, are more visible to the birds so that they don't run into them. Bird deaths do happen, okay. And by the way, the biggest threat to birds and whales happens to be climate change. and again, this is another extension on the claims that, it's the sound. You see, the sound, the wind, it drives the birds crazy, and apparently it's driving the whales crazy too. They're driving a little bit batty. No. Oh, and apparently they also give you cancer. I mean,
Wind.
what can I say? What can I say? That said, the environmental community has pointed out the lack of evidence to suggest that there is a link between offshore wind projects and whale deaths. So, environmentalists, if they're pointing that out and saying, actually, well, there doesn't seem to be any evidence of any of these claims, so I guess, not killing the whales. And they also stress the importance of, investing in renewable energy to combat climate change, which actually is a killer of marine life. On its website, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration said that there's no known links between large whale mortalities and offshore wind farm surveys. At this point, there's no scientific evidence that noise resulting from offshore wind site characterization surveys could cause mortality of whales. And furthermore, the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management also said it's found no evidence, noting that passing current research shows that vessel strikes and entanglements in fishing gear continue to pose a dangerous, life-threatening risk to whales. So, sorry, apparently windmills, not exactly a danger to the whales. So, Captain Kirk is not going to have to come back in the future, come and pick up whales because of the windmill. Okay, that's not going to happen. That's not going to be the new Star Trek V plot. Okay, it's not going to happen.
I want to go to space.
All right. Look, what this is whataboutism. That's really what it is. It's whataboutism used to defend rich oil and gas executives. This has become part of the culture war. The same thing as they're taking your stoves and they're taking your hamburgers and they're doing this and they're doing that. This is a culture war fight that is only there to benefit people who are actually, poisoning the atmosphere, poisoning the water, killing the animals, and making life generally sucky in the pursuit of massive amounts of profit. And while Trump does have his own reasons, his own bizarre reasons for hating windmills, his position just happens to align with the real villains in this story.